Hey guys, Brian, Socal Supermoto, and the nice folks of Suzuki loaned us a brand new 2025 DR-Z4. So today we're just going to rip it around and just give our first impressions of the bike. Nothing too complicated, just get out there, ride it, see how it feels, see what we like, see what we don't like, and just have a good time. Hey guys, I just want to do a quick walk around. This is just a first impression of from somebody who's owned 80 DR-Zs. Just taking a look. The geometry looks very, very similar. Maybe the seat's a little bit farther back on this bike. It's immediately comfortable to sit on this thing. Obviously, instead of bold new graphics, we have this kind of all blue-gray thing. I think the bike looks great, nice and clean, blacked out front forks, kind of a modern headlight there. I think it's going to fall under kind of a love it or hate it thing. I think it looks cool. But beyond that, this is just first impressions. The cockpit is a lot tidier, and all the options from just immediately playing with it in terms of the fuel mapping and the traction control and all that seemed actually pretty intuitive, which is a massive improvement over the old DR-Z. You needed to go to school to learn how to use that tachometer and the speedometer on the old ones. Everything just looks really, really clean. There's nothing really that jumps out at me as that looks silly or that is awkward or anything like that. This bike just immediately will feel familiar and a lot more refined. As far as first impressions go, the way that it idles, the way that it fires up, the way that you feel sitting on this bike, what came to me immediately was comfort. It just immediately feels comfortable, immediately feels familiar, and it doesn't feel weird. And I can't say that about all new Supermotos that I sit on. But as far as keeping the lineage of DR-Zs, this is not going to feel awkward or unfamiliar to anybody who's a fan of DR-Zs. It feels just kind of intuitive and nice and clean. So that's pretty much it. We won't even comment about that because everybody's going to get rid of that with a tidy kit. The same goes for the exhaust. But overall, it's just a nice, clean, comfortable bike with good ergonomics. What's up, everybody? Brian. With the first impressions of the new DR-Z. Yeah, I had a good time, man. What kind of nicest thing you can say about a bike? I went out and I had a good time on it. Definitely, we've already firmed up the suspension, and it still feels like very wallowy. So the suspension feels too soft, and it's very wallowy. That said, the fuel injection is perfect, so smooth, flicks from side to side. Way more comfortable. Oh, the rear pedal just did this weird thing where it lifts up. What that tells me is that every time you turn the bike off, the ABS on the back tire comes back on, back wheel. Super awkward. Anyway, this is everything as off as possible. It still has what's it called, ABS on the front. Now what's weird about this is you go to do a stoppie and you can't do a stoppie. That's un-American. When you want to do stoppie, you should be able to do a stoppie. Woo! That's the problem that it's worth talking about. If you forget to turn the ABS off, it turns off. So I took that jump. I couldn't stop in time for the berm because every time you turn off, it takes it back off. So, or it puts the ABS on the rear every time you turn the bike off. So if you turn it on, you forget, you take a dirt jump, you can't stop for the next berm.
Scary feeling.
Which is what just happened right there. So
you got to manually turn it on every time you turn the bike on.
You got to manually turn off the ABS from the rear every single time.
Every time.
Yeah. So in the future, I'm guessing what we're going to do is pull the fuse on the ABS, which I think is a bad idea for somebody on the street. And on the track, oh man, it's frustrating because if you forget, it's like death in the dirt.
Yeah.
All right. So now the ABS is off. We'll do a couple dirt laps, see if that should go a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, here it is, the official first impression of the DR-Z. I rode it a little bit on the street. I rode it probably about 20 laps out here on the track. We did get a couple laps on it last week, right when we got it. So that's when we realized that we wanted to firm up the suspension, which we did do. So overall, man, what a comfortable, easy to ride bike. Seriously, it is like easy to flick from side to side. The ergonomics are great. They put Dunlop Q5s on there right from the factory. The fuel injection is perfect. That's the stuff I really liked about it. Street bike all day long, fire trails all day long. They also did not put a 6th gear in, and that was a big criticism of everybody. But when I got this thing on the freeway, they did something with the gearing. It's a lot easier on the freeway than the old DR-Z. So that's what I'm digging about it. Very easy to ride, very fun to ride. It feels, I don't know if it is heavier. It feels heavier than the old DR-Z. It's a bit more to throw around. I had a little bit of, what's it called when you have too many decisions you can't decide what to do with your life?
Like analysis paralysis.
I had analysis paralysis with the all the traction control. So, and even though I said I wasn't gonna mess with it, it's like a bunch of buttons, so I had to mess with it. So, traction, fuel mapping. It only has 30, 35 horsepower. You don't need fuel mapping, in my humble opinion. It is so smooth and that it's so good that there's not really a need for it. I put it into the slow mode and gravel mode in the dirt. It felt really slow. It's so smooth. It's both a criticism and a compliment that the fuel injection is so good, and it's not a high horsepower bike. I don't see the need to mess with the fuel mapping at all. Same thing goes with the traction control. And the ABS, we need to talk about the ABS. So it works out great, and on the street, fantastic. Leave ABS on all the time, who cares? Out here, I turned the bike off to talk to my friend Keeson, talk about what we were shooting, and I got back on the bike. It automatically goes back to having the ABS on the rear tire. I jumped a table. I needed to apply brakes in order to make the next berm, and I almost went flying over the berm because the ABS turns itself off. Now, I'm guessing that we will end up pulling the fuse if we're able to completely disengage it. It's super weird being a Supermoto guy, and the first thing I do in the pits, I gun it, slide the rear, can't do it because of the ABS, and then I gun it and I do a little stoppie to test front wheel traction, and then there's ABS on the front, so you can't really do stoppies. Feels like it's got a wheelie control, and you can't slide the rear unless you remember to turn off the ABS. So that's all a bit much. So in short, basically just leave it in the A mode, turn off the traction control, turn off the rear ABS, you're good to go. The only problem is that you have to remember to turn off the rear ABS. That's if you're riding any dirt. For the average street rider, this won't be an issue. Next up, it's really soft sprung. So the thing feels like a pogo stick, and it feels a lot like too much work, and that's after we firmed everything up. this is just my first impression. You take this bike, you figure out a way to firm up the suspension, you pull the fuse on the ABS, and I think it would be infinitely better on the track. On the street, I wouldn't bother with doing any of that stuff. On the street, I would just cruise around and be happy, and and that sort of stuff. But so that's my overall impression. If I'm honest, every time I was out on the track, I kind of wish I was on my old DR-Z. But my old DR-Z is firmed up quite a bit, and feels like less work to me. On the street, fire trails, distance, commuting, forget it. I would do this all day long. It's just a nice motorbike. That's my summary. Hey, what do you think about the new DR-Z? I think it's a nice motorbike, which there's something to be said for that. I think the average rider, you're going to be able to jump it. You're going to be able to take fire trails. You're going to be able to rip through the canyons. It's going to be reliable as hell. I can tell already. And all good. If you want to take it on anything more serious, you're probably going to have to disengage the ABS and firm up the suspension. But I really like the ergonomics. It felt very familiar, very comfortable. And you're like, well, Brian, you've only been riding DR-Zs for 20 years, so you go figure that the DR-Z would feel comfortable and natural.
Hey, that means Suzuki did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were true to it.
The DR-Z is an
Yeah, so that was, initially I was kind of beefed about the no 6th gear, just like everybody else, but I'm not really tripping about that. And overall, cool bike.
We are out here at Apex Motorsports Park today. My name is Max. I'm with the Fast and Rusty YouTube channel. We had the awesome chance to come out and ride with the Socal Supermoto guys and Stunts Moto on YouTube. We just got done with an awesome session out testing the new DR-Z4SM. Overall, super fun bike. Had a great time on it. If you're used to the old DR-Z, it feels incredibly familiar. Yeah, just overall a really fun bike. Love the ground clearance, love the seating position, loved how narrow the seat is and how far up you can get on the tank, even though I don't do a great job of that riding knee out. The couple things I wasn't quite as crazy about, it is still like the old DR-Z where when you're knee out in a long corner, it just doesn't track the most stable. I think some of that has to do with the suspension. It just could be a little bit stiffer and valved a little bit stiffer. But overall, really fun bike. And if you're used to the old DR-Z, it's going to feel really comfortable and be an awesome bike for many miles. The new motor is awesome. Really smooth, really torquey down low, and just overall a great bike.
Hello, my name is Cade Courier. We're here at Apex Motorsports Park with Socal Supermoto. I'm with Stunts Moto Technica. You can find me on Instagram. First impression, 2025 DR-Z4, much like the bike you love, just better, more refined, more comfortable in the saddle. You sit better on the tank. The handlebars are right there as control. I wasn't able to mess with the suspension or anything, so it was a little bit soft for me with DOT tires, but what a great bike all the way around. I'm super excited for Suzuki and what they're coming out with next and in the future. Other than the suspension being a little bit soft for my riding style, I have no complaints. What a great bike.
Cool bike. And we're going to do a bunch of shootouts versus the KLX and the KLX 300SM, the old DR-Z, and the new KTM 390. So like and subscribe and all that good stuff so we can make millions.
And if you got a
off YouTube
bike you think is better, come out to Apex
and let us ride it.
And let us ride it.
Yeah, we'll do a DR-Z4 versus whatever bike you got. We'll be happy to do that as well. But we had a great time riding it today, both on the street and on the track, and stoked to get on it some more. Euro 5. So, hey, this is America, Euro 5. We want to be able to do stoppies and wheelies and burnouts and keep your Euro regulations out of here. No, it was a good time. Hope that helps. You.